Hi Fightmaster Yogis, it's Lesley Fightmaster. Welcome to your refuge. This is your sanctuary. This is you time that you can set aside to take care of yourself. I'm here today with Muriel. We've been in Greece together all week. She's been a wonderful host, and she has agreed to help with a video for us that will open up the heart, stretch the front of the body, and move toward back bends. So have 2 blocks available and a strap, and let's get started by sitting up nice and tall. Close your eyes and take a couple of long breaths. Beginning Ujjayi Pranayama. Let's take our hands together in Anjali Mudra in front of the heart, setting our intention. May our practice be a vehicle to open up our heart centers, opening that knot in the heart to expand the amount of love and emotion and happiness that we can feel. And please add an intention of your own if you like. And releasing the hands, let your eyes softly blink open. We're going to start with our 2 blocks on our back. So we were sitting on ours. I'm going to come into 1 block under the head and 1 under the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. So the bottom tips of your shoulder blades are about halfway down your back. It's right here. So I'm going to have her lean back. And then this other block will go underneath the head. So you can start with it as high up as it'll go. And then if it seems like it's too much opening, you could take both blocks down a notch. If you want more opening, you can take the block that's underneath your head down a little bit lower. So let's try that for you, Muriel. How does that feel? Perfect. Okay. And then with the legs, you can keep the legs extended, as Muriel has, or you can bend the knees and put the soles of the feet onto the floor if your low back has any discomfort. And breathe. So we're going to stay here for a few long breaths. And what this does, it helps to open up the thoracic spine, the upper back. And the upper back has a tendency to be a bit rounded. That's its natural curve. So when we do back bends, we want that to flatten out. We want the shoulder blades to move toward the chest and give a little opening to stretch open the front of the body. So take a few more breaths here as you're allowing gravity to do its work on your upper back. And another part of the body that sometimes feels a little bit tight in our back bends are the shoulders. So on your next inhale, reach your arms up over your ears, yep, in line with your ears. Then bend your elbows and hold on to your wrists or your elbows. And then you'll just allow the arms to hang down any amount. This can be very, very intense. If it's too intense for you, then take your arms back by your sides again. Let's take 3 long breaths here. Good. And then release your wrists or elbows, stretch the arms out, and then switch. So you take the other clasps, so either holding the other elbow or the other wrist for just a couple more breaths. And see if you can, as best you can, spin your triceps, your outer upper arms, up toward the ceiling, and the biceps spin down toward the floor. Take 2 more long breaths. Good. And then from here, let's bring your arms back down by your sides. And bend your knees. And carefully roll off the blocks off to one side, just very carefully. Either way. And then we'll move them off of the mat. And then you can press your way up to seated. Let your head come up last. And let's come into table, hands and knees. Line up your wrists under your shoulders with your knees under your hips. If you need extra padding under the knees, you can always fold up a blanket and put it underneath. So we're going to pay attention to the place where the block was. So right in the shoulder blades, right in the bottom tips of the shoulder blades, you're going to move from that spot. So as you inhale, bring your chest forward. Lift your chin, lift your tailbone up, draw the shoulder blades toward the waist. Then as you exhale, round the back, chin toward chest, pull your ribs and belly in. Beautiful. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale, widen across the collarbones, lift your chin and tailbone up, shoulder blades toward the waist. Exhale, press away from the floor, lifting the belly, drawing the ribs in. And one more time. Inhale, bring the heart forward through the gates of the arms as you allow the shoulder blades to release toward the waist. And exhale, rounding the back. Nice. And then inhale, come to a neutral spine. And walk your hands about a handprint in front of the shoulders. Good. Spread out the fingers, start to press into the base of the fingers, and we'll turn the triceps back and the biceps forward. Keep your hands just where they are, as if they're glued here. Tuck your toes under and come into down dog. Good. And double check that your arms are shoulders distance apart, your feet are hips width. And now if you want to bicycle your legs here to warm up the hamstrings a bit, you can do that. Good. Keep pressing back on the arms. Think about downward facing dog as a way to lengthen out your spine. So if your hamstrings are kind of tight, then I think it's much better to keep a little bend in the knees and lengthen the spine as you're working the hamstrings. So just like this. So she's got some nice length. And then as you get more open, you can start to straighten the knees. So let's start to settle into the down dog. Again, pressing into the base of the fingers, turning triceps back, biceps forward, lift the shoulders up toward the waist, and draw the front ribs in. Beautiful. Inhale, make your way into plank pose. Good. Tailbone is going to reach toward the heels, the chest forward. She's pressing up in the shoulder blades, just the right amount. And then as you exhale, shift forward and lower all the way to your belly. Hug the elbows and knees can always come down first. Let's come into Sphinx Pose. So taking the forearms down onto the mat, we'll keep shoulders and elbows in line. Just for a moment, I'm going to have you kind of hunch your shoulders up by your ears. I know we don't ever really do this, but we'll hunch the shoulders up by the ears. Good. Then we'll start to roll the shoulder heads back, lift the chest, and lift right in the middle of the chest, right where the collarbones are, as the shoulder blades press forward. Pull your belly in and reach your sitting bones towards your heels. So you're almost taking a little pelvic tilt so that your pelvis presses down gently into the floor. Then with your arms, kind of traction, pull them back so you can maybe widen a little bit more across the collarbones. How does that feel? Okay? Good. Take one more breath here. The inner thighs will spin up as if you're holding a block between the legs. Good. And then slide your hands back, come onto your belly. We'll set up for Cobra. Hands by low ribs, elbows toward each other. Inhale, peel the chest up, Cobra. A low one or a high one. Roll shoulders back. And then exhale, tuck the toes, come back into down dog. Good. And Muriel has the strength to press straight up into plank first before down dog, but you can always keep your knees down if you like. On your inhale, float your right leg back and up from the inner thigh. Good. As you exhale, step it all the way by the right hand. Beautiful. And then take your, you can step the foot all the way up and take the left knee to the floor. And keep the back toes tucked under. Inhale, come on up into your low lunge. Good. So in the low lunge, we'll pull this right hip back. Draw these front ribs down as the back ribs lift up. Stretch through arrow, straight arms, spin the triceps forward. Keep sinking forward into the hip. so that hopefully you feel a stretch in that back leg. Take a breath in. As you exhale, bring the hands down on either side of the front foot and come to plank pose. Good. Shifting forward, chaturanga. Knees can be up or down. Good. Inhale, upward dog. Shoulders above wrists. Exhale, make your way back, downward dog. Right. Inhale, floating the left leg back and up from the inner thigh. Let's drop that hip just a little. Exhale, let's bring knee toward nose again. Breath in. Exhale, step it up by the left hand, take the right knee to the floor. Keep the back toes tucked under and come on up into your low lunge as you inhale. So pull the left hip back, lift your hip bones towards your low ribs. These ribs come down, these back ribs lift up, stretch up through arrow straight arms, spin the triceps forward. Relax around either side of the neck as you sink forward. Take one more breath in. And then exhale, bring the hands back down and step to plank. Hug the elbows in, chaturanga. Inhale, press through the hands and feet. And exhale to down dog. And let's stay in down dog for 3 breaths. Spread the fingers, press into the base of the fingers, lift the forearms, spin triceps back. Keep the front ribs drawing in, pressing the weight up to the hips and then down through the heels. Take one more long breath in. Exhale everything out. Bend the knees, look up past your fingers, either step or lightly hop feet to hands. Then inhale, halfway up, lengthen the spine, nice long spine here. Exhale, fold over the legs. She can straighten her legs. You can bend the knees as needed. It's okay, yeah. And then inhale, press through the feet and rise up for Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale to Samasthiti. Good. Inhale, sweep the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips. Inhale, come halfway up, lengthen. As you exhale, you'll step to plank or hop back, landing in chaturanga, your choice. Good. Inhale to press up. Get the shoulders right above the wrists, and exhale, tuck the toes for down dog. Really nice. Then on the inhale, we'll float the right leg up again from the inner thigh. Exhale, knee toward nose. Why not, Muriel? I think it was a good idea. Take a breath in. Now exhale, step it all the way up by the right thumb. Stand the ball of your back foot for high lunge. Come on up into crescent. Draw the right hip back. Bend your back knee a little bit. Good. Tilt your pelvis forward slightly. Ribs in, back ribs lift. So you should feel a pretty good stretch here in this back leg. Keep all of that. Keep the belly lifted now, straighten through that back leg, and pull this right hip back. It's not easy, is it? I'm making you work. And then from here, you're going to take your right hand and turn it toward the back of the mat. Bend the elbow. Take your left arm out, thumb down, and bring it behind. If you can clasp, you'll clasp your hands. If you cannot, you can hold your shirt. She's got the clasp. This left shoulder, roll it back. This right elbow, reach it up and spin the tricep forward. Good. Take one more breath. And then release the arms. Inhale, stretch them up. Exhale, bring the hands down to the mat. Make your way to down dog any way you like, through vinyasa or right into it. Shoulders no lower than elbows. Inhaling up, toes straight back. Exhaling back. Good. Inhale and float the left leg back and up from the inner thigh. Drop the hip. Good. Exhale, step it all the way up by the left hand. Stand the ball of your back foot as you come into high lunge crescent. Keep this knee over the ankle. And bend the back knee again. Tilt the pelvis forward so hip bones lift toward low ribs. Ribs in, these ribs down, these ribs, back ribs up. Good. Spin triceps forward, then straighten through that back leg. Nice. Now, just a little stretch in the shoulders. Turn the left hand back, palm toward the back of the mat, bend the elbow, right arm out, thumb down, sweep it behind. Sometimes you can clasp on one side and not the other. So if that's the case, hold your shirt, hold a strap. Doesn't matter. One side's usually tighter than the other. That's normal. This Left tricep will spin forward. This right shoulder rolls back. Good. One more breath here. Really nice. And then inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale, bring the hands down to the mat. Step back into plank. Chaturanga, shoulders no lower than elbows. Good, inhaling up. Shoulders above wrists, very nice. And exhale, back, downward facing dog. Good. Breathe here. So in your down dog, stretch yourself back again. If you want to rest, you can always take the knees down and take a break in child's pose. You can push the pause button. Take care of yourself is always your option. Good. From here, let's take the feet a little bit wider than hips width, maybe about as wide as the mat actually. Walk your hands back to your feet and we'll come into Malasana squat. So start to let your hips drop down. Nice. It's important that the knees and the toes go in the same direction. Some of you might point your toes forward. As long as your knees are forward, that's fine. Otherwise, toes out, knees out. Lift the chest, drop the tailbone down. Good. Do you like this one?
Yes.
It's a really great pose to stretch out the spine as well as open up the hips. I love it. Let's take one more breath here. And then we'll walk the hands back out into downward facing dog. Good. And inhale, make your way into plank. So do a little bit of core work. Step the feet together. Gonna roll to the pinky toe side of your right hand, or right foot, and lift your left arm up for side plank. Really nice. So stretching up. And we'll pause here. This top hip may come a little bit forward, needs to usually, tailbone toward heels. And then we'll turn the top arm tricep forward and just reach it in line with the ear. And pause for 3, ribs in, 2, and 1. Make your way back to plank pose. Good, and then just lift the hips, come into down dog. Good. We'll take a breath here. And then come back to plank as you inhale. Feet together again. Roll to the pinky toe side of the left foot and right arm comes up. Good. Shoulders in line. Inner elbow turns toward the front. Bring this top hip slightly forward. And then we'll take this arm, spin it, tricep, and reach it forward. Good. Keep reaching the tailbone toward the heels. Ribs in. 2 breaths. Good. And make your way back into plank pose and lift the hips again, downward dog. Nice. Good. Stretching back here. Inhale, make your way into plank pose. And then lower all the way to your belly as you exhale. Good. We're going to take Shavasana. Bring your arms alongside your torso. Yeah, just along the side. Like we did in Sphinx Pose. Now pull the belly away from the floor, reach the tailbone toward the heels, hip bones toward low ribs. Then inhale, lift the chest, lift the legs. Great. So the shoulder heads will lift up, inner thighs spin up, keep breathing, and let's lengthen the back of your neck a little, even a little more. There. Take one more breath here. Really nice. And release and rest. Good. Take a long breath. Very nice. We'll do the same thing, but this time interlacing the fingers behind the back. So interlace the fingers, or you can hook your thumbs. And same thing. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the legs, reach your buns towards your heels, lift your sitting bones, or reach your sitting bones, but lift your hip bones toward low ribs. Take one more breath here. Nice, and release and rest. She's working. Not to mention she already did a 2-hour practice today. Yes, good. So remember, when you're doing these back bends, you want to make sure that the inner thighs spin up toward the ceiling. If you're not sure what that feels like, taking a block and just holding it between the inner thighs is a really good way to feel it. Let's do one more, I promise, last one. Interlace your fingers again at your low back, other pinky on top. Pull the belly in. Inhale, lift everything up. Hip bones toward low ribs. Keep the back of the neck long. Very nice. 3 breaths. Breathe more into the chest here. 2. And release and rest. Nice. We'll move this out of the way. Good. And then let's take the hands by the low ribs and inhale into upward facing dog or cobra, your choice. And exhale back to down dog. Good, stretching back here. On your next inhale, we'll come back into plank pose. We're gonna move into a wild thing, little back bend here. So feet together, roll to the pinky toe side of the right foot, lift the left arm up, shoulders in line. This top hip will come a little forward, ribs in. Take this top leg, lift it up, step it behind you and take the foot flat. Good. This top arm, spinning the tricep like we did before, reach it forward and start to stretch the whole front of the body. Beautiful. As you're in this posture, your hip bones are lifting toward the low ribs here, your sitting bones reaching toward the backs of the knees. Take one more breath. Beautiful. And then make your way back into side plank and then regular plank. Nice. And let's just go back to down dog. Lift the hips. If you at home would love to take a vinyasa, take one. Otherwise, downward dog. Make your way to there. All right, coming to the other side. Come back to plank on your inhale. Feet together. Roll to the pinky toe side of the left foot. And the right arm up. Top hip will come a little bit forward so hips are in line. We'll take this top leg, lift it up, take it back behind you, the foot flat on the floor. Spin this tricep forward as you reach the arm forward and then start to stretch. So reaching your sitting bones toward the backs of your knees, your hip bones toward your lower ribs, stretching out the front of the body. Take another breath here. Gorgeous. Nice. Spinning inner thighs toward each other. And then make your way back to side plank. And then regular plank. And then your choice, vinyasa or right into down dog. You decide. It's good. And back to down dog. Beautiful. From here, ribs in, stretch out the spine, lift your right leg up, inhale. As you exhale, we'll bring it through for pigeon pose. Yay! Good. So pause here. If this hurts your knee in pigeon, instead of pigeon, you'll come onto your back and hold onto your shin or behind the thigh. Knees okay? Okay. And inhale to lengthen. This back leg is straight back. Exhale, you can stay up or you can come onto your forearms or you can lengthen all the way down. Good. So she's rolling just a teeny tiny bit onto the right hip. I can prop it up with a block here. What would be better is if I had a blanket that I folded that was a little bit thinner, but this will kind of keep the hips level. The reason we don't want this hip to roll down is because if it rolls down onto the floor, it'll bother the knee. Good. Take 2 more long breaths here. And then keeping the legs in pigeon, we'll walk the hands back up. So we'll come into upward pigeon, I suppose we could call it. And then bending your back leg, you're gonna reach back for your foot. So see if you can reach it with your left hand to the left foot. You might hold it here. If it's hard to reach, you could always use a strap. If you wanted to take it a little bit deeper, you can start to move into Mermaid Pose. So keeping your hips level, and she's got this block here just in case. She's gonna bring it in a little bit more. Bend the elbow, bring this hand up. Maybe that hand will come up. It doesn't have to, by the way. And as best you can, hips and shoulders face the front of the mat. Really nice. For 3 breaths, spinning this tricep forward, 2. Take one more breath here. And slowly release it. Good. So tuck your toes under on the back leg and lift your right leg back and up. Just stretch it out a bit. Nice. And set it down. Inhale the left leg back and up from the inner thigh. Exhale, bring it through for Pigeon. Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. Lengthen the spine, inhale. So again, even if on the first side that knee was fine, if you find your knee hurts on the second side, please take the variation instead. Lengthen as you inhale, make sure the toes point straight back, and then exhale, either stay up or come to the forearms or all the way down. And then watch this left hip. This one's level on this side. So if she were rolling off to the left hip, I would prop it up a little. I don't really need to here. Let's take nice, long, smooth breaths in Pigeon. Make sure that you release any tension around your neck, your jaw. Try to make it as comfortable as you can. I know for me, when I first started to practice Pigeon Pose, it was not very comfortable. It took a while for my hips to open up. So keep breathing. If you just focus on the breath, everything will change. Good. If you're all the way down, start to walk yourself back up. And then you can stay right here, or option to bend the back knee and reach for your foot with your right hand. And you can stay here, and if you have the foot and you can resist it back a little bit, you'll start to feel a stretch in the front of the leg. Or option for mermaid or merman, as the case may be. Take the elbow toward the foot, bending the elbow, and then maybe this other hand will come up and back. And as you're here, this is quite a big pose. It's quite a big stretch, or it can be. So lift your hip bones towards your low ribs here so you're not dumping into the lower back. Hips and shoulders square toward the front, and breathe for 3 and 2 and 1. Releasing. And then tuck your toes under, sweep your left leg back and up. Stretch it out. Really nice. Set it down. And if you would love one more vinyasa, take it. Otherwise, stay in down dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, shoulders no lower than the elbows. There you go. Inhaling up. Exhaling back to down dog. And then look forward at your hands. We'll come through and sit. Either step or hop to seat it. And lie back for bridge pose. So lying down with your feet hips width apart, outer edges of your feet parallel. I'm going to take bridge pose. Press down into the heels. On an inhale, lift up your hips, your low back, your mid back, maybe the upper back. We want to make sure that inner thighs spiral in toward each other. So if you're not sure what that feels like, again, you can hold a brick there. Sitting bones toward backs of knees. Hip bones toward lower ribs. Chin away from chest. If you want to, too, you can interlace fingers and roll shoulders under if it feels good for you. Take another breath here. Good. And release the hands and lower down, and rest a moment with the soles of your feet together and your knees apart. Supta Baddha Konasana. So we'll do one more. At home, you can do another bridge pose, or you can do a wheel pose. We're going to do a wheel pose or Urdhva Dhanurasana here. You can follow along with that, but if it's not in your practice, if it doesn't feel good in your body, stay with bridge. Or you can even take your block and put it at the base of your spine and take supported bridge. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so feet, hips width apart. Make sure that the outer edges of your feet stay parallel. That means the toes will point in just a little bit toward each other. I'm gonna have her hold this again. Take your hands up by your ears. Elbows point straight up. First, pause at the crown of the head. So exhaling up to the crown of the head. And keep these elbows drawing in. Take an inhale. As you exhale, come on up, straightening the elbows. Good. So as best you can, you want to create length in the front of the body. So tailbones reaching toward the backs of the knees and the chest in the other direction. So you're stretching. Feels good, right? Stretching out the whole front of the body. Take one more breath here. And then chin in toward chest. Lower down slowly. Good. And hug your knees into your chest. Give your knees a hug. Rock a little side to side. Make circles on your low back. The hard work is done. Good. So let's have you rock yourself back and forth, up and down the spine. Take 2 or 3 rocks, come up to seated. And we'll take a forward fold so we can go the other way for the back. A counter pose. So come into Dandasana, extending the legs in front. Muriel has a nice long spine here. She's not rounded at all. She doesn't need to sit up on anything. If at home you're a little bit rounded, it's hard to sit up tall. Sit up on the edge of a brick or a folded blanket. And pull the toes back. Inhale, reach up through the arms. As you exhale, hinge from your hips and come forward. With a nice long spine. Good. If you can't reach the feet, no worries. You can always use a strap. Nice long spine. She's not rounding. She's lengthening. It's beautiful. There are some birds flying by. It's good. So the spine is nice and long. The neck is just an extension of the spine. And keep your breath steady. 3 breaths. And 2. And inhale, lift your head. Exhale and release it. Come back onto your back. Yay. Bend your knees. Let's take a little twist. So take the knees off to your right and look over your left shoulder.
Like this?
Yes.
Together?
Yep. Look over your left shoulder. If you want a deeper twist, you can cross your left leg over the right or right leg over the left, either way. And it'll get in a little bit deeper. As you inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, you're turning your belly up toward the ceiling. That's a good one, right? And then uncross the legs if they're crossed. Make your way back to center. And we'll do the other side. So knees will come over to the left. And looking over the right shoulder, you can cross top leg over bottom or bottom leg over top. Relax the shoulders and the jaw. As you're exhaling, try and turn your belly up toward the ceiling. Good. And slowly release. Take the knees back to center as you inhale. Lengthen your sitting bones towards the backs of your knees and then extend your legs out for Shavasana. Yeah, we'll take the arms by your sides, the palms facing up, arms a little bit away from your body. Shoulder blades toward the waist, so you want to kind of lengthen. Let the shoulders descend. Let the sitting bones reach toward the heels. Close your eyes and rest. Quiet mind and quiet body for Shavasana. And while you're here resting, our quote today is from the Upanishads. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. All right, where you are, take a slightly deeper breath in. As you exhale, start to make some movements in your fingers and your toes, and your hands and your feet. And inhale, reach through your arms and your legs. Take a long stretch. And taking the arms back down by your sides, bend your knees and roll off onto your right side. Pause a moment here to revisit the intention that you set for your practice. Now slowly make your way up to seated, letting your head come up last. And we'll cross at the shins. And bring your hands together in front of the heart. Let's bring our hands to the forehead, reminding us to have clear and loving thoughts. Hands to the heart center, reminding us to have clear and loving intentions. And the hands to the mouth, reminding us to have clear and loving communications, sending out this positive energy to all beings everywhere. Namaste. Thank you, Fightmaster Yogis, for joining us today. Thank you, Muriel.
Thank you, Lesley.
And don't forget to push the like button and subscribe, and we will see you soon. Bye.